CJ Fowler was 16 years old when she was murdered in Kamloops in 2012. I'm proud to have been part of the team that successfully prosecuted CJ's killer and brought at least some comfort to CJ's family and some measure of justice for CJ. As the report of the National Inquiry into the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls has recently emphasized, we're a long way from true justice and reconciliation. The report challenges all of us to learn the hard lessons from the stories of the missing and murdered women and girls and their families. And it challenges all of us individually and collectively through our government to act on its recommendations. I've been a lawyer for 25 years, more than 25 years, and for nearly 18 of those I was a Crown Counsel. I'm proud of the work I did bringing justice to victims of crime, many of them, tragically, Indigenous women and girls like CJ. I've experienced firsthand that there's a lot of work to do in the justice system and in policing to be more responsive and equitable. I've also sat with families of murder victims and heard their stories and their anguish, and I recognize there's much more to be done, urgently, to prevent the sort of violence identified by the National Inquiry. And we can take immediate steps. We can take the inquiry's recommendations seriously by acting on them. But we won't do that if our government responds as our government normally does, with words and pledges and short-term thinking, with a commitment to saying what's necessary to get elected, with the expectation that promises will be forgotten 4 years later. One of the Green Party's guiding principles is sustainability, long-term thinking. It applies in the environment, of course, but also in the economy, in reconciliation with Indigenous people, and in justice. Justice includes punishing those who commit crimes. That was my job, my calling for many years. In the long term, a truly just society also does everything it can to prevent injustice and the circumstances that result in tragedy and crime. I invite you to look at the Green Party platform and the principles that underlie it, and I invite you to join me on the Green bandwagon. Thanks for listening.